Hong Kong was a perfect place for my journey to financial independence, but it's no longer the right place for the next chapter of my life, and it's not a place where I'd want to raise children.
Hey friends, welcome back to Sense and Sensitivity. This channel documents our journey to design a life beyond the 9 to 5 after leaving our previous careers in law and architectural visualization.
I'm Kristine. I grew up in mainland China, moved to Hong Kong 7 years ago, and built a path here that allowed me to retire at age 31. This month, just after getting my permanent residency here, I'm leaving Hong Kong for good.
I'm Rupert. I grew up in New Zealand and the UK, and I've been living in Hong Kong for the past 4 months. China's the 7th country I've lived in, and I'm seeing Hong Kong with fresh eyes.
In this video, I want to share my why. What are the real pros and cons of living here? Is Hong Kong dying as some say? What does the city's future hold? I'll start with a bold statement. Hong Kong doesn't make sense for most people. It's a city with extreme income and wealth gap. The median salary is about 35 to 50% lower than Singapore, London, or New York. But everyday costs are sky-high global city level, and rent dominates your paycheck. A 2.6K salary in a city where even a shoebox studio costs over $2,000.
Before I relocated to Hong Kong from London, I had the impression that living here would be cheap given its close proximity to the mainland. But everyday things are almost as expensive as in London.
For 80% of the people, the salary just doesn't justify the cost. For me, I was in a very lucky position. In the previous video, I shared how I reached financial independence in less than 7 years working in Hong Kong. I doubt I'd have pulled that off so fast anywhere else. Here is why. Hong Kong is one of the few cities outside the US, along with London, Singapore, and Dubai, where it feels like investment banking, law, and consulting pay at truly global levels, sometimes even with extra expat allowances. On top of that, Hong Kong caps income tax at 15%, regardless of your salary. So for someone earning 200K US dollars, your take-home pay in Hong Kong could be 40K more than in New York City. The higher your salary is, the bigger the difference is.
And there's even more of a financial edge that Hong Kong has that most Westerners may find mind-blowing. Like how there's no sales tax, no capital gains tax, no dividend tax, and there's even no wealth tax or inheritance tax. For anyone pursuing financial independence, these are game changers. Your portfolio not only compounds without local taxes eating into your returns, but you also save a ton of time and mental bandwidth. In the US and many other countries, people obsess over tax loss harvesting and timing sales for tax reasons, whereas here you can keep your investing simple and focus on allocation, not loopholes.
With these factors in mind, Hong Kong has always been very attractive to high earners, global pay, and low tax. It's where winners thrive, but most just survive. The financial aspect aside, I've enjoyed my life in Hong Kong over the past 7 years. These are, in my opinion, what's best about living in Hong Kong. Number one, safety. While the political environment has tightened since 2019, street crime is extremely rare. I've never had anything stolen in my 7 years living here. I can't recall a single instance of feeling unsafe, even when my job required me to walk home alone at night after working late. Hong Kong has a deep-seated culture of rule of law, a legacy from its colonial past. It's a very orderly city. People here follow rules. Hong Kong ranks number 1 in life expectancy globally, and a key driver is its very low smoking rate. I've never seen people smoking indoors in Hong Kong, which is a big plus for me personally.
Even the possession of nicotine vapes is set to be a crime punishable by incarceration next year. Unlike Europe, where it's impossible to escape the consistent smell of tobacco on the street, some regions like France, where smoking is built into the daily, even now cultural life of many people, it's quite common just to have a coffee and a cigarette for breakfast.
Number 2, the weather works for me. Unlike Southeast Asia's eternal summer, Hong Kong has seasonal changes, while still having a very mild winter. Summer is sizzling hot, but the city has so many covered walkways connecting metro stations and high-rises that you can often avoid direct sun exposure.
And for such a concrete jungle, nature is surprisingly accessible. Around 40% of Hong Kong's land is legally protected country parks and conservation areas. You can access incredible hiking and beaches within just an hour of commuting.
Number 3, the Hong Kong government is highly efficient and reliable. Low corruption, transparent laws. While in other countries you may need a tax accountant to handle your tax, in Hong Kong it's very simple and straightforward. It takes me just half an hour every year to get my tax return done.
And as someone who's lived in Portugal, I feel this wholeheartedly. In Portugal, people wait 2 to 3 years to get their citizenship application approved, whilst Kristine's application for Hong Kong permanent residency was granted in just a few days after she met the 7-year requirement. And the attitudes as well from the government workers were super courteous and well-mannered, which is in stark contrast to what I've seen and experienced in Portugal.
Number 4, with the amount of tax you pay, I'd say Hong Kong government does a decent job in providing public services. The MTR is one of the world's most reliable metro systems, with a 99.9% on-time rate.
And if you compare that to the 89% on-time rate of London tubes, and take into account that there hasn't been a single strike in 6 years, whereas London has multiple a year, the difference is palatable.
Universal healthcare drives the world-leading life expectancy too. While public hospitals have long waits for minor issues, they are highly competent in handling serious problems with top doctors and equipment. Number 5, convenience. The flip side of limited living space is that Hong Kong is incredibly compact and walkable, which I absolutely love. Cars here in most cases are unnecessary, maybe even troublesome unless for showing off wealth and status. Most people's commute time is under 40 minutes door to door. Travel within the entire city takes under an hour. Less time on the road means more time living. All the government websites and signs are bilingual. You can get around with only English or Mandarin. In fact, most expats don't ever learn to speak Cantonese beyond the basic Ngoi.
Though, as a caveat, service level English varies by neighbourhood and venue. Also, a lot of the cultural life happens in Cantonese, so you'll miss parts of it without the language.
Number 6, cultural diversity. Hong Kong still converges Chinese and Western influences. The food scene is incredible. Major shows and exhibitions often make Hong Kong their first stop in Asia. So, you may be wondering if Hong Kong has worked so well for me, why am I walking away from it all? Hong Kong is a great place to accumulate wealth if you have a high income, but it's not the best place to spend that money you've saved, especially now that we have both left the corporate world and have no intention of going back. The rent alone is wildly expensive. Families here squeeze into tiny studio flats. It's a city where you pay some of the world's highest rents for some of the world's smallest homes. For the money we spend in Hong Kong, we can get much better quality of life elsewhere. Also, since we plan to have a child in the future, we probably don't want our kids to grow up in Hong Kong.
I grew up in New Zealand. Childhood there meant long summers outside, bare feet on the grass, 50-mile beaches, and snowy mountains. The environment, along with the education system, shaped me with a deep appreciation for nature, space, and freedom. But from what I've seen, kids in Hong Kong are under immense pressure. They face high-stakes exams at every stage. To get into a good kindergarten, both the parents and the kid need to have an interview for the spot. And there's a whole mini industry in Hong Kong just to prep 3-year-olds for school interviews. Can you imagine that? A 3-year-old getting interview prepped? For places in top international schools too, parents need to buy debentures to get a spot, which are essentially interest-free loans to the schools. And I'm not going to lie, but it seems a bit unethical, especially when these schools are already private schools.
Kids are in an endless arms race of classes and trained hobbies. When I look at these kids being shuttled from school to tutor to extracurricular activities, I don't see childhood. I see a tiny resume being built. Recently, a 5-year-old daughter of one of my former colleagues was preparing for the entrance exam just to get into primary school. And one day, she turned to her mom and told her, "I wish I had started studying when I was 1." Picture that, a child who should be drawing pictures, chasing butterflies, learning to ride a bike, already carrying the weight of academic pressure so heavy that she regrets not studying earlier in life. And I just want something different for our own child. I want them to grow up in an environment that nurtures play, curiosity, and kindness rather than traditional success, especially at such an age. Hong Kong is known as a free market economy, but oftentimes I feel its freedom exists only to the extent that it serves capitalism. It has a large community of living domestic helpers, mostly from the Philippines and Indonesia, who are paid less than half the minimum wage while needing to handle everything from cleaning to cooking to childcare. Due to this, working parents can basically outsource all parental and domestic responsibilities. This capitalist relationship helps keep professional women in the workforce. But the fact that only came to my knowledge recently is that emergency contraception is still prescription only in Hong Kong, and abortion is not by women's choice. Two doctors must agree there is a grave risk to the woman's physical or mental health. These policies are so disconnected from the practices in most Western countries.
To be honest, when I found that out, I thought it was mental. I used to think that Hong Kong was way more progressive than that. But it actually seems very pro-life in a negative way. In mainland China, New Zealand, and the UK, it's practically a woman's right to get the pill over the counter. And I think it's safe to say that both Kristine and I think that that's better off that way.
So, here is the big question many people are asking. Is Hong Kong dying?
Before I came to Hong Kong, I was under the impression that Hong Kong was like a city-state, similar to the Vatican. I only learned later this year that it's more like Puerto Rico and is indeed part of China. When Hong Kong was handed back to the People's Republic of China by the UK in 1997, one country, two systems promised that Hong Kong would enjoy a high degree of autonomy for 50 years. It's now been 28 years and change is inevitable. Hong Kong's economy now tilts heavier towards China. Over 50% of the listed companies on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange are from mainland China, and since 2019, the space for public dissent and independent voices has shrunk dramatically. There are reported to be hundreds of arrests under national security laws and a sharp fall in press freedom rankings.
We've seen continuous outflows of both capital and talent. Some estimate that 500,000 people left Hong Kong between 2021 and 2024. This includes expats returning to home countries. China's economic slowdown and US-China financial decoupling pulled jobs away from Hong Kong to Singapore, Seoul, and other places. And as Hong Kong becomes more reliant on Chinese economy, there are fewer and fewer opportunities for people who don't speak Mandarin or have a deep understanding of Chinese markets. In international law firms like the ones that I worked at, these changes are visible. 3 decades ago, partners at these elite law firms were mostly white men from the UK and the US. Over time, more people born and raised in Hong Kong became partners. And if you look at the partner profiles of these firms today, mainland Chinese dominate the roles.
Though many expats are leaving, most people who have left are local Hong Kongers, middle class, highly educated, and with strong work ethic. Many have moved to the UK, where people may think it's a more stable political environment and have a predictable future. Anyone born in Hong Kong before the handover was born a British national and holds a BNO passport. So many of these nationals have gone to the UK via a specific visa program for Hong Kongers, which offers a clear pathway. You have the right to live and work from day one, then a 5-year timeline for settlement and citizenship. The certainty plus English language, shared history, and familiar systems pulled large numbers. In a previous video, I explained why I decided to leave the UK. The cost of living crisis, stagnant wages, and housing shortage make life in the UK difficult, and the social climate has grown more hostile. The majority of Hong Kongers who made the move to the UK are relatively happy with their lives there and were grateful for the support from the UK, as per recent surveys. But some still do suffer with the view that the place that they once called home has changed so much, and despite strongly aligned and shared values and history, it can also be difficult for them to fully integrate into British society. It's also not uncommon for those who have made the move a world away to suffer from loneliness, anxiety, and depression.
Despite the outflows, Hong Kong's population has rebounded above pre-COVID level. The government has widened programs to attract talents, and now growth is driven less by Western expats and more by mainland arrivals, reshaping neighborhoods, workplaces, and cultural gravity. It's a city that is definitely becoming more Mandarin speaking. A mainland friend who recently moved here told me that 10 years ago he got eye rolls for speaking Mandarin here. Nowadays, there is no such issue. And you see that even restaurants are increasingly featuring regional Chinese cuisines, and more mainland businesses are starting to dominate the market. But when you think about it, that has always been the pattern of Hong Kong. Established residents with resources move overseas. That's partly why there are significant Cantonese-speaking communities in the US, Canada, Australia. Mainland Chinese come to replenish. What's different now is that newcomers are increasingly professional middle class rather than lower wage workers. So, is Hong Kong dying? I don't think so. For high earning China focused professionals, it's still a land of opportunity. Financially, Hong Kong remains a top-tier global center, though it faces fierce competition from Shanghai and Singapore. If you want to access China's markets, Hong Kong is still a key gateway. Personally, I think its status as an independent economic and tax zone will retain strategic importance to Beijing.
On the other hand, it's certainly transforming and becoming a different city. Its center of gravity has changed, both economically and culturally, echoing the growing influence and economic power of China.
We hope this conversation could be helpful whether you are considering to come or leave Hong Kong. Choosing where to live is like choosing a partner. There is no perfect one. It's about finding a place where you love the advantages and can live with the trade-offs.
Many people stay not for the financial reasons, but for family, for the culture that shaped them, for the society they know well. We respect that, but having left my home country to explore other options, I don't think we owe allegiance to our birthplace. I see it more of a starting point, if anything. Home to us is something that we actually choose.
For us, we are in an incredibly privileged position where we've left the corporate world and untethered from a specific location. The world feels full of possibilities. In our next video, we will share where we are heading next and exactly how we made that choice.
Please like this video, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to click that notification bell for more on our life design journey. See you next time. Bye!